incident which was pretty profound in my life because I nearly died that day. So that's when I thought that okay, there really needs to be some knowledge transfer. The little knowledge that I have has to be transferred.
Any learnings you want to share with someone who might be on a similar journey like you?
As an entrepreneur, you try to solve customer problems in various ways.
I think when I try to put myself back into the shoes of like students, if I were to start today.
And I would like to suggest everybody is, if you're not sure, you stay in the rat race. I wanted to be a writer, a painter, but then my dad was like, you be an engineer first. Like Shah Rukh Khan is not a, I only do action.
So I feel some aspect of the interviews still remain underestimated. A lot of people try to land job at FAANG Companies. You are in the room, so how can we not talk about system designs?
Scorecard, yeah. Where you have 5 parameters and you get a score on each. I have changed myself in the last year because I was the kind of person, I have something quite exciting in mind. I don't know whether it will become reality, but we will create a system design judge. Currently, what's happening is you have irrelevant questions being asked to candidates.
Hi everyone, welcome to Bits, Bots and Bosses. When I first thought of creating this channel, he was the first guest I thought that I would be inviting on my podcast. I am very excited to have Gaurav Sen joining on Bits, Bots and Bosses podcast. He is the OG of creating tech and system design content on YouTube. I, along with thousands of others, have been able to land a job just because he continued creating some amazing content on YouTube. His YouTube channel has over 500k subscribers, and once you check out his content, you'll know what I'm talking about. Earlier on his career, Gaurav worked as software developer in Uber and Morgan Stanley, and then he went on to create something really extraordinary, which was his YouTube channel and his venture named as Interview Ready. Today, we'll dive deep into his journey to understand his entrepreneurial mindset, to get career advices from him, interview tips from him, and of course, once Gaurav is in the room, how can we not talk about system designs? There is a specific segment that talks about how to land job at FAANG companies specifically. So the entire episode is packed with a lot of value. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and learn. Stick around until the end of this episode, and let's get this started. Hi, Gaurav. Welcome to Bits, Bots, and Bosses. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling it's morning here in India. It's evening there. So
Yeah.
the opposite feeling of what you're having. Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you for making this happen. I think it's very difficult to just work out the time zones. But I'm glad that this conversation is happening today.
Me too. Me too. Thank you for hosting this, Akshata. And this is a very interesting series. I couldn't help but be a part of it.
Thank you so much. Okay, Gaurav, let's get started. I want to start by understanding your journey. So, you basically went from being an IT consultant at Morgan Stanley to now running your own venture, Interview Ready, right? So, I want to understand, hear everything about your journey. What were the pivotal points in your journey that led your career path to where you are now? And yeah, let's get started there.
So I did start as a IT analyst. I quickly moved to another IT role or a software role at DirectI. And
Mhm.
in between, what happened is there was a moment where I went on a trek to the Himalayas, and there was a incident which was pretty profound in my life because I nearly died that day. So that's when I thought that okay, there really needs to be some knowledge transfer. The little knowledge that I have has to be transferred. So when I went to different companies saying that I can teach, this is something I like doing, and I really feel it's important, uh,
Hmm.
they were not very convinced
Hmm.
about how long I could do this. It was a
Hmm.
short term, scare in me. But I knew that this is an important thing. So I started teaching by myself on YouTube. Um, this now, once the YouTube channel started to do well, uh, I wanted to do this long term, full time. And I saw that there is a clear opportunity here. All the boxes were ticked, in terms of is it sustainable, is it safe, um, and so then I said, let me do this full time. So that's when the Interview Ready company started around 4 years back, and it's it's been growing slowly, steadily since then.
We've been all part of it. I think I just in the introduction I was saying I, along with thousands of others, have been able to land a job just because you were creating amazing content on YouTube. I do
Whoa.
want to talk about a little bit about, right? Like I don't want you to disclose all the details, but just tell us a little bit about the incident that motivated you to start teaching. I mean, I think that's an important aspect to discuss because these are small moments in the life that kind of tells you that this is your calling. So if you don't mind sharing a bit about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So there was a fight I had with my friends during the trek. We were exhausted after the entire day trekking. We were hungry also, and we wanted tents. And
Mhm.
there was basically option A and option B. One was going through the river, jumping over ice blocks, and the other one was going over a mountain. So the trek name is Chadar. Chadar is a sheet of ice. It's
Okay.
like a chadar of ice, and
Mhm.
I said, "There's no way that I'm going to go through the river." I decided to go over the hill, and my friend said, "Screw you, get out of our face." So I'm doing this in an unknown place during late hours because
Hmm.
it's going to be night. We have walked the entire day.
Right.
Uh, I I got lost at this point. Basically, I
Hmm.
went up and all confident, and climbing up is really easy technically, but then going down, I started realizing, okay, if I slip here, then no one will ever find me. I'll go into the river. If I slip here, and for some reason, I'm not able to press the brakes in my head that stop, Gaurav. What are you doing? Get back. It's just not connecting. I'm either exhausted or angry or something's wrong. Maybe the ego, I don't know. I
Hmm.
didn't stop till I went downhill all the way to the base of the mountain. And
Got
now I
it.
realize that it is dark. Going back up is too risky. Going back down will be risky. I can't think. I'm running on the edge of the river. If I run on the river, I might go into it. If I
Hmm.
run, I mean, the ice might break. And then if I run on the
Hmm.
mountain, I might break an ankle because
Hmm.
it's really rocky. And I do this for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. And there's a voice in my head which is telling me, Gaurav, it gets to minus 30 over here. You don't have a tent. If you make a mistake, today is it. This is it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's when,
Very
there's
close
another.
encounter with sort of like life and death kind of situation, if I may say so.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
No, in fact, you start remembering your parents a lot. Uh, I realize that
Mhm.
everybody else is not even close. Uh, you
Yeah.
you just remember your mom, your dad. I I was shocked. Like there were a lot of people who I cared
Thought would
about.
matter. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. There was so I was a young guy. I had this crush. I thought that she's very important in my life, and I used to spend much more time talking to her than I would talk to
Yeah.
my parents. But when the
Hmm.
moment came, I'm
Hmm.
only thinking about my parents. She didn't even
I know.
appear in my head.
Nothing else
So
matters, blurred out in the
yeah,
background. Thank you. Thank you for that.
that's kind of
Hmm.
the time when I also just thought of I'm I don't believe in God as such, but that time there are no atheists in the foxholes. I'm bargaining with God that if you keep me alive, I will do something
Give
out of
back.
my life. Yeah,
Right.
I will give back. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the
No,
rough gist.
that's
Yeah,
very interesting. I think, yeah, what I was telling. Like every now and then there is some encounter which tells you that this is what you really might want to do. So thank you for
yeah,
sharing that.
absolutely.
That was really interesting. I think now I want to ask that you've been through different phases, right? You've been a student and then you've been a corporate employee and now you are an entrepreneur running your own venture, right? So, uh, walk us through how your mindset has evolved during these three different phases and any learnings you want to share with someone who might be on a similar journey like you. And I think most of the people are kind of following that path, not fully, but partially. So, I think we would really love to learn how your mental model has changed during these three phases.
From student to working professional, one of the biggest changes is just seeing how important earning is to your independence. I
Mhm.
think going to a restaurant, anything, if you're buying your own things, if you're entering a shop, as long as you're earning by yourself, you now become um, you gain a lot of self-respect
Hmm.
because people respect you also. So the society
Hmm.
respects you. Thank you for
Hmm.
contributing to society and earning money. And you you really feel a lot of respect. It's a different
Hmm.
world.
Hmm.
So if you're a student and you have a lot of self-respect, that's great. If you're struggling with it, it's going to get a lot better once you start working.
Right.
um, and so from work, when you move to entrepreneurship, when you have your own startup or company,
Hmm.
one big change for me is, uh, when I was working, I was a specialist at, let's say, tech.
Hmm.
I wasn't very experienced, but
Hmm.
for the little knowledge that I had, it was specialized on one place. um,
Hmm.
as a entrepreneur, you try to solve customer problems in various ways. It
Right.
doesn't necessarily have to be tech or legal
Right.
or anything. So that is a
Marketing,
big
yeah.
perspective. Yeah,
It just
marketing.
has all the stuff, like really a broad spectrum of like how can you basically provide value to your customers no matter what, right? Then you
Exactly.
just don't look beyond your roles, you look beyond your roles, right?
Absolutely, Akshita. In fact, if I look at it here, you are a TPM, and what what you could be doing is all the time say, Gaurav, we are going to have this, thing set up on Jira, and then we are going to do. But as you start your own thing, the podcast Bitbots, what you're doing right now is solving a problem in any way that you feel
Right.
is useful or necessary.
Hmm.
So it does this kind of thing, running it on the side opens your eyes
Yeah.
more. So it's
Right,
great.
right. Just expands like the scope of things you're handling. And I think like just adds back to a lot of experience to your portfolio,
Yep, absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
All right. I think now I want to move a little bit towards interviews, students, and career. You're the expert, so we should leverage and get some tips. So I think when I try to put myself back into the shoes of like students, if I were to start today, I think I'd be just very overwhelmed with a lot of choices. Like you have to do data structure algorithms, then you have to go and learn some coding languages. You could also go dive lot deeper in AI ML, and then or you could just be on surface and just learn how to integrate APIs, right? So there's just a lot of choices out there. So is there any 3 to 5 step process someone starting could use to begin their journey, like this is what I will learn and then I'll start my journey? So is there anything you suggest in that scenario?
So yeah, I this would be my suggestion at a high level. The syllabus in college is usually quite good,
Hmm.
and practicals are a great place to try things out.
Hmm.
They have set everything up for you, and they kind of force you to sit in that place for 1 hour,
Hmm.
and you have to do practicals. So any practicals that you have,
Hmm.
try it out, in a serious way.
Right.
If
Hmm.
you actually enjoy those practicals, what's happening is you are probably going to discover what you like. College in a way is forcing you to look at different subjects, um, and they can tell you that, uh, get workplace capabilities, just focus on an internship, just focus on the APIs, and uh,
Hmm.
making things happen. But then that would really be, I think,
Hmm.
a waste of a lot of talent.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
You can do that also,
Hmm.
but you're not there necessarily for preparing just for the industry, or the job today. You're
Right.
trying to also find your path.
Hmm.
Akshita, in fact, you have also been in college. What did you do which helped you decide that
Hmm.
this is the kind of thing I want to do? Because this is a common life problem.
Right, it's a common problem. I mean, my career was shaped like I obviously did computer science engineering, and then I went and worked in Infosys, and then I went for my MBA. And so my basically I did not take any decision and it started like kind
That's
of
fine.
framed
That's fine.
one step after the other, like now I want to do, let's try this, and then something happened. So that's how my journey has been. But one thing, when I joined MBA, I think in my mind I had this particular thing very clear, that I don't want to leave the tech aspect of my role. In fact, in MBAs they do ask you like, what do you not like about your current job that you're coming to B schools? And that was my answer, like I do want to retain my tech part of the job but also add management layer to it. So that's the only thing I've stuck with all these years, and I've been glad that I got those opportunities to retain that.
I think that's a really good answer. Having that kind of clarity at that age is rare,
Right.
because many people prepare for answers, like, as if they prepare for answers instead of it coming from their heart.
Right.
Also, one thing, Akshita, which you brought up, and I would like to suggest everybody is, if you're not sure, just stay in the rat race.
Hmm.
The rat race is more safe than you jumping out and saying, "I need to figure
Correct.
out my life." If you're
Right.
not sure, it's okay. This is a safe
Hmm.
path. A lot of
Hmm.
people have done it. They haven't done
Hmm.
very badly in their life. So
Hmm.
that was with me also, right? I wanted to be a writer, a painter, but then my dad was like, "You be an engineer first," because that is a
Most
reasonably
of the
safe path.
parents were like that, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like from technology standpoint, like there is no set path. Like you do first you do DSAs, then you do coding language. There's no set path, right? You could go into any direction that's serving you at that point of time. Is that what we are saying here?
I think so. Look, when you become really good at something, it's impossible for the rest of the things not to start chipping in. Like
Hmm.
in this is something I've noticed, and Josh Waitzkin talks about this in Art of Learning Chess. The
Hmm.
art of learning is basically you make your strengths even stronger. So
Hmm.
if you're really good at DSA, or if you're really good at microprocessors, it's impossible for DSA to stay away from you. You will
Right.
gain at least the peripheral skills initially, and then some advanced skills also of data structures,
Hmm.
because you love microprocessors.
Right.
uh,
Right. Hmm.
and if you like computer graphics, again you are going
Hmm.
to see some system design, some higher level
Hmm.
GPU stuff come up. So
Hmm.
it is, after all, the same field. Broadly, I mean, if when you attack very specifically, you also have to go broad. Otherwise,
Hmm.
everything
Yeah.
else is not going to power it. So yeah,
Yeah. Everything
whatever you
comes
like.
together to build a system at the end of the day. So you have
Yeah.
to basically have touch points everywhere.
Yeah, like
Perfect.
Shah Rukh Khan is not a, I only do action. Like he's done comedy, he's done something else, and he's
Right.
pretty good at comedy. He's pretty good at tragedy. He has
Right.
to be, because it
Hmm.
can't be like this guy is the action guy who picks up the gun and shoots all his, like he
Yeah.
has to
Yeah.
he has
So
to
you
do
have to
something.
bit of everything, right?
Yes,
Jack of all
yes.
trades. Okay. All right. I think this is the question that's coming just from my personal observations. Now that I've started conducting interviews at my job as well. So I see that a lot of engineers nail tech interviews and coding interviews, right? They'll be very good technically. But there are other aspects of interviews, for example, just structuring their answers, right? Or behavioral questions. So I feel some aspect of the interviews still remain underestimated. So now that you have coached a lot of people for landing good interviews at good companies, so is there anything you feel is underestimated or people could prepare, better for that particular aspect?
Absolutely. I think there is a very large uh, section of interviewing which is so not looked into, that not only do the candidates not look into it, but the interviewers also don't look into it.
Hmm.
There is what you're mentioning, I think, is just asking people about their experiences, and trying to predict their behaviors.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of literature around this. I don't mean to say that tech is not looking into it on purpose, but I think a large part of tech is not aware of what has happened since the 1960s. When
Hmm.
you're looking to get the right candidate,
Hmm.
you want to predict their behaviors. The army
Right.
has been doing this for a long time, and
Right.
government officers do this.
Right.
Tech still is very, we are going to ask system design, DSA,
Correct.
and we are done.
Correct. Correct.
In reality, if you want a very high correlation
Hmm.
to the interview performance and job performance,
Hmm.
you have to start asking them things like you said,
Hmm.
Akshata, ask about their experiences, see how it maps to the company's
Hmm.
core,
Principles,
traits.
right?
Yeah, principles.
Yeah. So
Exactly. you
correct.
you know this quite well. I mean, people
Right.
in Amazon are
Let's not go to the principles, but I think the attitude is where we fail to judge. And as a candidate, like I think people just go through a set of behavioral questions that are already available instead of I'm just giving my opinion here, instead of introspecting and finding out the answers that r- pictures your image, your personality. I think that's where all of us could do a little bit better, but I don't know what your thoughts are.
I think you mentioned this. You
Hmm.
said that there is when you went for your interview, MBA interview. MBAs are quite mature when it comes to interviews, and they asked you a question, and you gave a answer which tells what Akshita is instead of
Hmm.
what the ideal candidate of this MBA college will be. So you
Right.
said that I don't believe the tech aspect. Now
Hmm.
that can be something that you're not going to read in a blog. You can't
Hmm.
find that on video. It's not
Hmm.
so easy.
Hmm.
It has to come from the person.
Right.
So I was speaking to my dad about this, and he was telling me that, one of the things you want to do in such interviews is really look back at the past year and a half that you have had, and just build the stories as to why and how you did things.
Hmm.
So you don't always have to go for, did I have a conflict with my manager, did I have a short deadline. Maybe you never had short deadlines because
Yeah,
you have planned it really well. So this
that
or
is
you
so
have
well
this.
put.
Yeah, yeah. I told my dad that, how do you answer this question? Did I have a conflict
Hmm.
with my manager? So he's
Hmm.
like, maybe you did. It's possible you did, and it's fine.
Yeah.
You may not have had a conflict. Maybe you
Hmm.
resolved it beforehand, or
Hmm.
maybe your manager is not a person who likes having conflict. There's
Hmm.
many things here. The
Hmm.
question itself is a bit, so in a court of law, this would be called leading. You're leading the
Hmm.
candidate. Now tell me exactly what you did. So
Hmm.
what you want to do is you want to bring your stories forward. The
Right.
interviewer wants to get some competencies out. They want to
Hmm.
see, during conflict, how does this person behave. So
Correct.
instead you say, I don't know about this question,
Hmm.
but these are the other things, other competencies which I have, which are relevant to
Hmm.
this question.
Right.
So that I think is a that I
Correct.
think we all can do better in this entire industry, I think.
Right, right. Absolutely. The recruiters, the candidates, everyone
Yeah,
can work
yeah.
that out. Thank you for sharing that. I think now I want to talk about the FAANG companies. So obviously there has been a lot of talks and a lot of people try to land job at FAANG companies, and all of them have their own interview procedure, uniquely very unique to them. And there is a simple procedure of preparing for the interview rounds. Not simple, I mean to say, like, there is a procedure to
It is simple, not easy, that's all.
yeah, the procedure to prepare for the interview rounds. But do you recommend anything beyond that, should like we should do specifically to land a job at FAANG companies?
Yeah, if you can get referrals, that really really helps, and that is, um, it's a challenge for people who
Yeah.
come from let's say tier 3 or tier 4 colleges.
Right.
So it is a
Mhm.
challenge. Referrals really help. You get
Mhm.
shortlisted. After
Mhm.
that, it's a pretty brutal hiring process. I guess that's life, so
Yeah.
it's fine. We know about data structures, algorithms, system design, and um some behavioral interview questions, which are often asked. So
Hmm.
preparing beforehand helps.
Hmm.
Uh,
For sure. Hmm.
that's pretty much it. If you ask me what can you do on the side
Right.
when you're young as an engineer, um,
Right.
you are kind of like a product. You are, they're very standard questions, and there is no, any question on the side is considered maybe bias. That why are you
Hmm.
asking this candidate this? You should have asked them also that. So
Hmm.
as you go higher up in the levels, there is some subjectivity, and there what you
Hmm.
can really do to stand out, I think,
Hmm.
is just your performance in the previous companies. If you can highlight that properly, if you can bring forward your experiences, and maybe with numbers, mention that, I manage these many people, I
Hmm.
did this much revenue. Business numbers are useful as you go
Yeah.
higher and higher up.
Correct. It's definitely needs to be there, like in any response that you're giving. Perfect. Right. So I think all of what you said makes a lot of sense. I just feel that extra effort of writing down your stories before you even appear to that interview, that kills you in the beginning, but I think it just goes a long way. So I would just add that to your answer.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Not
Now
chat
that
gpt, that's all. Don't-
yeah, so that's a whole conversation in itself. Yeah, we'll park it for the next time. So, yeah, so now you are in the room. So, how can we not talk about system designs? You have created huge amount of content on system designs, and I think I go through your content on daily basis. You also do like sort of case studies. So for example, how Uber scaled, or how Instagram is hosting these many users. So that is really insightful. I want to know after doing so much, do you have any checklist that software engineers can, or someone who's planning to design a system can use, that if I just tick these boxes, I'll do justice to my design? Is there any kind of checklist?
Yeah, there is a metric, or I think they call it rubric. I'm not very sure. A scorecard, yeah,
Hmm,
where you have five parameters, and you get a score on each. So, high level is your requirements, were they cleared?
hmm,
Did you come up with a decent initial design?
hmm,
Um, did you consider scalability?
hmm, hmm,
And did you consider reliability?
hmm.
And finally, how well did you communicate your ideas? This is at
Correct.
a high level how things go.
Hmm,
And so for startups, it's usually a checklist that they made it. For more established companies, like you mentioned, FAANG companies, there's a
hmm.
scorecard where you get 0, 2, 3, 4, 5. So
Right.
score of less than 2 is, I mean, on
Hmm.
average, a score of less than 2 is not going to get a hire.
Right.
If you get 3, 4, or 5, then you have a pretty good chance of getting hired.
Okay.
What you would probably want to do is, when you're taking mock interviews, or you're just before an interview you're preparing, ideally mock interviews is what you want to do. uh, Maybe with self also is okay. You do the design, and then you score yourself. Communication is very hard to score yourself, but the
Right.
rest of the things you can.
Right.
Usually
Right.
you can
Right.
do a decent job. It takes
Right.
effort,
Right.
or you can go for mock interviews, which is a bit expensive, but that really helps
Hmm.
understand where you are standing.
Yeah, yeah. It's exactly how we used to do in AI, EEE, and IITs, right? Like mock exams and then just scoring yourself, time sensitive, and all of those things, right?
Yeah, yeah, just
Hmm.
like you brought up, you bring
Hmm.
your own practice at home if you can.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, that's a wonderful suggestion, I would say. All right. I think I want to move back to the entrepreneurship one more time. So I think you've already told us why you started your YouTube channel, how you got into teaching, but then you also started Interview Ready. So, I mean, I just want to know what motivated you. And then when you started, you might have, there was a vision probably, and then it would have evolved over the years, right? So, I want to understand what was that evolving vision looked like. And I actually saw a post just a few days back where you said that your biggest mistake when you started your company was that you were doing everything yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I want to bring those insights out because I think a lot of us are trying to do something and we would really leverage to understand your mindset, how it went.
So you asked this question earlier, which is kind of
Connected.
roughly related, which is,
Hmm.
how do we what is the thing that you want to do when you're moving from, uh, as an employee to an entrepreneur? So
Hmm.
what you want to do is you want to solve business problems, but the fact is there are many business problems, and they tie pretty tightly with each other. For example, you might want to improve the SEO of your website. That is a real problem.
Hmm.
And then you might also want to improve your product,
Hmm.
and at the same time you want to improve the sales experience that a customer has. So if they have a failed payment, you want to call them up. You can't do all three. So
Right.
you need to have people in your team who can do this.
Correct.
So if you try to do everything yourself,
Hmm.
it's possible, but you are going to be jumping from one place to another, and it's going to be slower. So
Right.
you're not going to go anywhere very very far.
Hmm.
But at the same time, you don't have money, then you first need to do this all yourself,
Hmm.
burn
Hmm.
that midnight oil, and then when you
Hmm.
have the money, then you start hiring people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's one part which
Hmm.
is different, which I had to train myself to do.
Right.
There was this time when
Dedication.
I
Yeah.
yeah, no, Akshata, actually, it's not me. This is not who I am.
Hmm.
I have changed myself in the last year, because I was the kind of person who hated giving any control over to somebody else. And
Yeah.
I learned the hard way that there are people who can do your job better than you, faster
Yeah.
than you, and
Yeah.
cheaper than you. Like
Yeah.
straight up. Just they edit videos better than me. I have been doing that for 4 years. They do it better than me. And then I thought about it. Bollywood movies are edited by some guy who's much smarter and more talented than me. How does how could
Yeah.
Gaurav be that stupid that he thought that, oh no, I'm the best editor on the planet? Like,
Oh
it's not what.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
you were doing everything yourself when you started, like you were doing
yes.
A to Z. Oh God, that would take like a lot of time, no?
Yeah, for 9 months I was doing it myself. I did try to automate some parts, but your kind of automating also takes time to think.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that was one lesson, that you
Mhm.
need a team. And
Mhm.
the other part which is quite interesting is, the vision that we had when we were starting at Interview Ready was nothing. There was no vision. It was all about, I want to teach, and
Mhm.
teaching.
Mhm.
I can teach on YouTube,
Mhm.
and I can also teach full time. If I'm going to do this full time, then I need to sustain myself. YouTube earnings will not be enough. I will depend on sponsorships. So instead, what I can do is I can become independent and have my customers directly pay me, like starting a tuition class. So there's no innovation here. This is just online tuition class sort of thing, right?
Mhm.
Only benefit is, of course, you can watch at your convenience. So it's a course.
Mhm.
Eventually what happened is, once we started earning enough money, once we became a decent product, from 3.5 stars out of 5, a place you'll never order
Yeah.
on Zomato, to
Yeah.
4.5,
Mhm.
now you will order on Zomato. So once we moved there, once we had the money and we had a small team for basic things, now you start dreaming. Now you start thinking of, let's create a system design judge which is going to help people self practice. Instead of taking expensive mock interviews, you come here, go through our judge,
Mhm.
and you will be able to practice at home, evaluate yourself
Mhm.
like you do in coding interviews. You can just do a
Right.
lead code, and you have automated feedback.
Mhm.
So that dream, that vision does not come without having a simple base of, I can survive next month also. I
Right.
can,
Right.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
sustainability is a very big part of startups.
absolutely. You just use two words to describe my whole paragraph. That is something I have to work on. Absolutely, profitability, sustainability, absolutely.
Right, right, right. And then, Gaurav, I'm very tempted to ask what's next on your charter? Like, what can we expect, like, in the next few years?
I have something quite exciting in mind. I don't know whether it will become reality, but we
Mhm.
will create a system design judge which is going to help people self evaluate. Maybe companies also evaluate candidates.
Awesome.
Currently, what's happening is, you have irrelevant questions being asked to candidates.
Mhm.
We are going to start asking job relevant questions, not just system design, but coding
Mhm.
questions also.
Mhm.
And these platforms will be built by us, which will
Mhm.
power companies and
Mhm.
power students to practice. This
Mhm.
is going to change the hiring process in software, which I think, for me, it's a huge deal. I've been in this space for a while.
Yeah,
I know how painful and unfair it can be. You
right,
are practicing irrelevant questions, and I don't want that. I want you to actually do things that you do on the job and be evaluated for it. So
right,
those tools are coming, and they will come from Interview Ready.
right. I'm so selfish. I'm just thinking along the way that it will also save the bandwidth for the employees who are conducting these interviews according to the protocols HR has set.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, no, and absolutely, absolutely. HR
right.
also will be benefited. They're
Yeah.
trying their level best to get the best candidates. They set up these protocols.
And I think I would now like to ask any advice or thoughts you would like to leave our audience with today. So you have good audience, the people who are trying to get into the tech, who are already in tech. I think I started watching your videos when I was preparing for Amazon interview, and I've never left since then. So any advice for this broad spectrum of audience?
Yeah, well, uh, currently 2024, what goes on in my mind a lot is, I made some decisions in my life which um, are making me are both constraining me and guiding me, like having a child, like starting a
Mhm.
company, um, like various decisions, and there are many paths that you can take.
Mhm.
I think this is a great path that I have picked up for myself, despite it having its own challenges. Having a 2-year-old at home is a thing which is real fun. I think a lot of people, Akshita, in your audience also have 2 years
Would
or more than
relate
2 years. So I
to.
should, yeah, I should congratulate them. You guys are amazing. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of us young fathers and uh, young entrepreneurs, we have a lot of doubts in our mind. But then
And
what
young mothers
else?
as well.
Young mothers, of course, yeah. I can't speak for young mothers at all because I see
Right.
my wife and she's a super hero. She is. I mean, I'm very lucky to have married her. But then this, I don't know how you guys do it really because uh, for unmarried men listening to this, it's insane. It's just crazy what they go through during pregnancy, how they are able to survive is
Yeah.
just insane. And then they have
Yeah.
to tolerate you also, which is
Yeah.
another big deal. But and yeah, I mean they should be getting medals for this, but this is not a normal thing.
Yeah.
But for young fathers, wimpy fathers who are like me, who are like, oh my god, this is also a huge deal for me. I
Hmm.
had this is what we could do. I would say, what else would you do, right? This is the best that you can do. Whatever you have right now is really really good, and I'm very proud and happy and looking forward to the things which are coming. So at least 2024, I would say maybe all of us are looking forward to a very bright future.
Right, right. I just want to ask one more thing. So, as I said in my intro, you're the OG of content creators. So, anything you want to say to content creators? I mean, now with time, we obviously, like, I think everyone is trying to find a voice on social media. I being one of them, I think it's amazing. And it's also overwhelming
Yeah,
at some point, right? So, I
yeah.
want to know, like, if you want to, share something with us.
Well, uh, one thing that you can do is you're kind of just having your conversations online here. Akshita, Gaurav, Kirti, Yogita, everyone, all of us are speaking online. So earlier you would have conferences. Now we are able to easily speak online,
Hmm.
despite the horrible background that I have. You're listening. Uh,
Me too.
no, you have a really nice one. But I think what we need to do here is we are we are hosting these things so that we can enjoy these later on. It's not
Hmm.
there that more views is better, or we have to project ourselves in a particular way. I think
Correct.
having a more relaxed approach is going to help us. And
Right.
frankly speaking, this is a long term game.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people in the same space. People who succeed here stay for 5-10 years, and then you see
Yeah.
them being
The
noticed.
result will start to come out, right? It's
Yeah,
a patience game, as we say. Yeah.
it is a lawyer or a struggling actor. Like, I feel like a struggling actor most of the times.
Oh
which
God.
is true. Yeah, which is true. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. No, I think all of these questions were really incredibly very insightful. I think with this we come to the end of the podcast, and I can ask you a lot more questions, but I think then the conversation would just go on and on. So I want to save it for the next time. Probably we'll do it in person.
Sure,
So
that'll be
that
awesome.
time it would be, yeah, it would be really better. And I really, really thank you for joining this. And uh, I have been seeing your content. This conversation was as enlightening as your content is. And I just want to ask you before we close out, like, how was the experience for you? Did you enjoy the conversation?
I loved the conversation, guys. If you're folks listening, Akshita went through a lot of things to make this happen. I am a very slippery customer. In the last moment, I had something come up, so she's the one who organized it, made sure things are working, set up the entire podcast. So amazing!
Thank you so
Congratulations! I'm
much.
sure Bit Spots is going to go very far, and Akshita, it will be the
Thank
same
you
with
so
you.
much.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank you so
so
much for
much.
making this possible.
Lovely having you here, and I hope we'll meet in person next time. I'm in India, so or you're here. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Gaurav. And yeah, talk to you soon. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you want to keep experiencing these insightful conversations, make sure that you follow Bit Spots and Bosses. And also, don't forget to check out the amazing content Gaurav has posted on his YouTube channel. The links are available in the description. And I'll see you in my next episode, but stay tuned till then. You could also follow me on Instagram, where I post daily nuggets of tech and my life in general. And you could also follow me on LinkedIn for more thoughts and insights. So, yeah, I'll see you in my next episode. Bye for now.